chaps, I thought I'd do a bit of a video today. It's not going to be a long one. The long ones take a fair bit of doing. Yeah, so yesterday afternoon we were tinkering with this section. You didn't see it in the video, but we got that pretty close to fitting. A bit of fine tuning, but today I was focusing on making up the new tail light section, mainly because I think this is going to take a fair bit of doing, and I'd like to try and nut this out, because these sections are quite easy to do. You just remove and replace, but fabricating a section that actually is going to work and actually has to still have a tail light fitted is going to be interesting. Well, it's interesting and it isn't, because I've had this folded around the tail light, because there's actually, well, it's not a tail light actually, it's just a reflector. This is the middle section, and you'd think it's fairly flat, but it's not. So it's got a fold there and a fold there, so that panel actually kind of has to match it a little bit. So that's why, and it took a bit of doing to figure out where this fold is, because it was completely gone, and whoever welded this last time just stuck it in higgledy-piggledy. But I'm trying to get it to the point where you can put a tail light in and it'll actually fit. Crazy thought, I know, right? So that's what today's task is. I'm mainly focused on getting this done because it's going to take a fair bit of brain power to do. So I'll probably just snip you in bits and pieces as I'm travelling, just because I need to get it done. So all I've done is I've put a piece of tin, straight edge on this end, measured up to about where I'd like it to sit, folded it one way, stuck it back on, stuck the tail light back in, marked out about where the bottom of the lens is, went to the lens, measured up how far that fold needs to be, and then stuck it in the folder the other way and folded it. Then I stuck it back in and then bolted the tail light in, putting the extra 2 holes in, even though it's missing one lug. They're pretty straightforward, they've just got to line up, and the tail light does go in and fit quite well. So once I've got this section in, I'm actually going to put the catch back in, and hopefully that'll strengthen up the whole back section of this car, and then I can just do the sides first. But this is a fairly strong, fairly straightforward piece, and it's actually, unfortunately, the longest section I could put through my metal folder, because that's pretty much the width of the metal folder, so I can't put any bits any longer in, which kind of sucks. One day I'll get a bigger one when I have money. But I thought I'd catch you up and let you know how it's travelling. If you haven't hit the subscribe button, please do, because I know that 52% of the people who watch this stuff are not actually subscribed. I know some people might go, why should I have to subscribe? Well, you don't have to, but it does actually help grow the channel. That's how YouTube helps share things around. If you've got lots of subscribers, it gets out more and more people see it. It's does a sort of a snowball thing. So subscribing does help, and all it does is basically put my videos in like a small section on your YouTube channel where it's like almost in favourites. It doesn't cost anything, so don't get that, and you won't get, I don't inundate people with tons and tons of stuff. So just, if you could hit the subscribe button, I would be most grateful. Yeah, so I hope you've been enjoying the video on this landau. We're nearly done, so yeah, keep following, and today's video will roll on. Hopefully we'll have this whole lower section done. You might have seen in the time lapse I was trying a slightly different technique that someone told me about. I knew about it, but I hadn't done it for a long time. It's the You do your tacks, you grind your tacks down, you do another row of welds, grind them down, and then on and on and on. And I'll admit, it does work fairly well. But I don't think it's... My opinion is I don't know if it's any better than the way I was doing it. Sort of neither here nor there. But it is different. It is good to try out things when people tell them things. I still haven't done across here yet, as you well know. I was focused on resorting out this line up here. I'll sort this out too because I'll probably replace that. But there's actually, it wasn't there, it had been hammered flat. But there's supposed to be a style line that runs across the top there because the tail light matches it as well. So I had to actually get in the boot and set that out. So there's a line here, a line here, and a line here. And I was in the process of putting the catch back on. And I've had to put 2 new feet effectively on the top of it. I'll neaten it up in a second. But that's, I'm going to put that back in the boot. And then I'll clean up between those 2 flanges and then weld, do my plug welds across there. And then that whole back section, at least in the middle, will be sorted. It's actually looking quite good. I'm absolutely pretty well stoked with that. And we've trucked this through the sandblast and I've straightened it up. So I'll have that back in shortly. Because you can see the top of the boot channel dips down. Whereas it's quite easy to see in the boot lids that it's actually supposed to curve the other way. So I'm thinking that's just people leaning on it over time has actually bent it down. So I need to actually make sure that's actually a little bit proud when that goes, when this catch goes back in. Otherwise your boot seal isn't going to work terribly well. So yeah, keep on keeping on. Alrighty, that's in, that's ground, those plug welds are done. It's been etch primed black, it's looking good. I put the boot catch back in, and my word, that's been quite nicely messed up. Not only was it assembled slightly crooked, as you can tell by that plate, but it also got quite heavily tweaked when it was in this accident. So I can't guarantee that's going to look straight, but it is in line with the mounted looking boot catch. So in theory, the important bit where the catch goes is in the right spot. I expect the next person who plays with the bodywork of this to go, "Why did you do that?" Well, maybe you should have done it yourself. So yeah, and you can see that we've hammered back that style line that's up here. So we've got technically 3 greases, 1, 2, 3, and I've just been working on what's going to be the next section that goes in here. And I'll have to obviously cut it down a bit, but I worked out how big that is and done the fold to match, and then I've just got to think it's going to have a fold through here somewhere, and then a bit funny through here, and then back into here. I'm just going to have to wing it really, because it's so heavily tweaked. But I know that the rear tail light, well, it's not actually a tail light, at least the middle rear reflector fits quite lovely, and I did actually dent it slightly from the other side when I was putting the boot catch in, but you know, quick hammer and dolly fixes that. But for that midsection, not bad. It actually kind of looks sort of ish like it's supposed to, and it will look a lot nicer in the boot area once we finish. But we'll keep cracking and see how much we can get done today. I'd like to see if I get at least this section in before the video's out, but we'll just play it by ear. Add this in because it proves that I have actually been attempting to do it the correct way. I've been trying to set this panel up so that it can actually accept the original center section for the tail light, even though this one appears to be in less than ideal condition. So when I was talking about, it's really hard to see, zoom out, it's got a little nook in it for that top crease, and then obviously it's got another kick down for here, so you can see it fits really snug across the bottom. Yeah, there's a better angle, and it fits snug in there. You wouldn't think it, but it's got to have those lumps in them. So that tail light, this tail light just goes straight in, which I was pretty stoked with. It just goes plop, straight in, and it sits relatively level. I don't know where the guy's going to get another middle section from. I guess you're going to have to get one from a ZF Fairlane, because that'd be the closest you can get. I'm pretty sure they're the same, except they don't have these mid sections. And you cannot use ZG because they're a sort of a box pattern all the way along. ZF Fairlane is the closest. Or obviously P5 LTD and Landau. Duh. But they're not a terribly easy tail light to get. But looking good. Now, I just thought I'd do a bit of a stop, and I've just tacked this in and then ground down the welds, and I've done one with plug welds too. And it's funny, I was just thinking, going, the amount of times I've encountered work where people have got this far and then decided that's enough and left all the gaps in the welds. I just don't understand why you'd get this far and stop. Well, boggles the mind. I've seen it heaps. There seems to always be slightly shonky work where they seem to get this far and then stop. Do you know how much effort is involved getting this far? Do you know how much is left to finish? Not much. I don't know why you wouldn't just finish. Anyway, I'm just going to keep welding this, but I thought I'd do a little stop. I just had to think about it. I was like, oh, the amount of times I've seen it where people get this far and stop is just mind-blowing. Well, I'm not. I'm going to keep going until it's done, and we should better wrap the video up with this section being done. We've set back that corner a bit because it was too far. So it's funny, the guy before the last guy repaired it without pulling the car. The guy who did some of the bodywork straightened the car, but over-straightened it, if that makes sense. Sort of pulled it too far out. So I'm pushing it back to about where it's supposed to be. It's kind of funny, really. So one guy didn't do it and the other guy went too far. Why can't we just have a happy medium? Anyway, I'm going to keep on welding. You know, I think that'll wrap up this video quite nicely. I was just thinking while I was doing this how much I would have loved to have had a video like this to watch, to have copied off of when I was doing the Landau. And then it made me realise this is actually the reason I was doing these videos ages ago. So they're almost, you know, so if you tackle this on your own and you've never done it before, you're like, oh my god, how do I do this? And then you can look it up and see somebody else tackling it. You go, oh, okay, so this is how you do this and this is how you do this. These videos were originally intended as a, well, not so much as a guide, as, you know, a lot of, you know, someone else doing it so you can sort of get an idea. A bit of a help, basically, and this is why I still do them. But that is more than half of the taillight panel repaired. It's not a showstopper because it's, unfortunately, a really nice straight piece of metal is welded to something that's wrinkly as an old man's face. But it's miles better than what was there before. And yeah, well, this is the ultimate idea. I mean, there isn't actually that much reference material on the back of Landaus. Tons on coupes, but nothing for the back of Landaus. Nobody really shows you how to repair the back of one of these. And there's very little images and photos on the internet of what one of these taillight panels actually looks like. I struggle to find some, but at least now, with this video being out, there is now information out there for any potential person who's going to tackle one of these taillight panels in the future. So that's the reason I do all this stuff. It's to help people. It's not a, oh my god, look how good I am. And this is a, let's see if this information might actually be useful to somebody else in the future. But anyway, enough of that. I think this will do. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe.